Hey there, welcome to the Posit Data Science Hangout. I'm Libby Heron, and this is a recording of our weekly community call that happens every Thursday at 12 p.m. US Eastern Time. If you are not joining us live, you miss out on the amazing chat that's going on. So find the link in the description where you can add our call to your calendar and come hang out with the most supportive, friendly, and funny data community you'll ever experience. Can't wait to see you there. With that, I would love to introduce our featured leader today, Dony Unardi, Principal Data Scientist at Genentech. Donnie, it is so nice to have you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and something you like to do for fun?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me here and talking to you and everybody, wonderful people here. We have such a great participants here, great numbers. So thank you so much for having me. So my name is Donnie. I've been in Genentech for 8 years, going no, no, 9 years, going to a decade now. Been leading this Teal framework for about 3 years now. Um, and that's why Libby was saying that I'm a morning person, not by choice, is because our stand-up, because I have a global team, my stand-up starts at 7 a.m. every day. Uh, I think it used to be a lot earlier, but I'm like, nah, let's just make it 7. So I can't do it. Otherwise, I'll be like a zombie in the meeting. Um, so, uh, so yeah, that's my background is in computer. Prior to joining Genentech, well, maybe prior to Teal, I worked closely with study data. I was a data manager. And also I switched to a role where I do a lot of R development, trying to harmonize data for a molecule. So this is depending on whether it's a recent study data or an older study data. My job is to harmonize and make it ready for analysis. Um, and then I also have the background in as a web programmer. I used to do a freelance web programming and a SAS programmer as well. So it's been such an interesting career. I was sharing with Libby at some point where I thought I want to do web programming, and I was about to make a career switch from to the web to the front end. I would say I'm so glad I did it. Because that data turns out to be such a amazing career path and a lot of things to learn. And yeah, I think with a product like R, and we can even make it so sophisticated and until just apply so many different object-oriented techniques into the product. So it's such a versatile and flexible tool to do to make great product.
Yeah, the funniest thing that Donnie said to me was, "Yeah, I was doing web development and yeah, I was considering making a switch. But I didn't think data was going to go anywhere. I didn't
Yeah.
think anything was going to come of this data thing."
Yeah, I was really like almost on what I felt like a ceiling, career ceiling for me. And I was really deep into web too. I was doing Angular, I was learning Vue.js, I was doing a LAMP stack, all this different stack. I was trying to learn it. I did a little freelancing, helping my wife. Some of this, she used to have a logistic business, so I built the front and back end of that of her business, and it was fun. But I'm glad where I am right now. Definitely, our data science is such a interesting and fun topics.
It is. And speaking of topics, like I would love to give everybody a sort of rundown on things that I think it would be fun to talk with Donnie about that can help you inform some of your questions. So, one is a little bit more background, which I will ask from Donnie in just a second, around the Teal framework. What is that? How does it work? Why is it important? Another one is just the sort of switch that happened from like SAS programmer and web developer to data, what that sort of skill set and background gave to him and his ability to do stuff. Also, being a technical leader, we've had a lot of conversations lately in the community about being a technical leader without being a people leader as well. I know that Donnie also does technical interviews. So he has people who are on this team with him, and while he does not do the behavioral part of the interview process, he does do technical interviews. So if you have questions about that, that might be interesting. And then also, I loved the topics, the technical topics on one, just, working on Teal, working in frameworks that I've never worked in R, like R6, S3, S4. All of that feels so above my head as far as R programming goes. But if you have questions about that, I know Donnie loves talking about those frameworks. He's also an R champion coach. He onboards study teams and really helps with R adoption inside of Genentech. Those are great topics. I also loved something that Donnie said was, hey, not everybody in AI and ML is doing the actual model building, because he has always been more on the data prep, data cleaning, the QC side, which is quality control, validation, things like that. So if you have questions about that, or if you're like, hey, I'd love to have a career in data, but maybe I don't want to be a modeler, Donnie can talk about those topics too. Okay, enough of me talking about it. Let's let Noor unmute and ask her question, because it is the very question that I would like Donnie to talk about. So Noor, if you're available, I'd love that. It was the one about Teal.
Hello. Sorry, I was in front of the stove because I am cooking my post not run, emphasize not run meal because I do Strava, but I go at a leisurely pace. But regarding the question, what is teal? I'm unfortunately somewhat ignorant about it. And why use it? What does it do? What's so great about it? Is it just a really good color?
Fantastic question, Noor. Thank you. All
Thanks.
right, Donnie, take it away. Tell us
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Teal.
Oh, it does have a good color, but anyway, hopefully it's more than that. So Teal is essentially is a Shiny app, but we built a framework around Shiny app to add a lot of feature out of the box. So is using Shiny components, is using Shiny techniques to make a Shiny app, but with what we would like to call Teal flavors. So what are these flavors? What we're trying to achieve is accelerate on how people can create Shiny apps. So no longer, I mean, while it has you can make a traditional Shiny app, we want to provide more functional programming way where um, with a small number of code, you can make your Shiny app. Um, Another thing that we're trying to achieve with Teal is that we want to add components that kind of important in what in clinical trial setting, but we also know it's important in other settings as well. One of our key features that we always try to market is that it has code reproducibility. So what that means, if you create a Teal app, you're using the modules, the pre-built modules that we have, and you run your analysis with these modules and you see something that you like. Now, Teal was positioned an exploratory tool. So in order for you to run it through some your validated environment, what Teal can do, it will provide you the code so that you get that can reproduce what you see on your Teal app or visualization. So that's very important for us to achieve because in a pharma, this is something that we always want to do. We want to be able to reproduce our analysis. Another thing that we want to promote out of the box was our exploratory features. That means subsetting, filtering, and so on. So by just running a very simple Teal code to make a Teal app, the filtering it comes out of the box. So we encapsulate this, and so this is where the object-oriented comes in. We don't, we provide some API for you to control how the filter behave, of if you want to define predefined filters, but the intricacy of it, the details about that, we just encapsulate them. So by default, you make an app, you will have filtering ability. And then we kept improving on this. We have predefined modules, like we have line plot, bar plot, graph that we know quite standard. And so we provide about maybe 50 plus more modules that people can look around. And the idea is that you don't need to know on how to build a custom Teal module. We already know a standard module that could be beneficial for your analysis. So why don't you just take that in and plug it into your code and you can run it. there's a lot more things that I can think of. I think we have a website about this. We also have a Shiny Life session in our website. All of documentation. We try to show this the capability of Teal in the website. We also have what we call Teal Gallery. You can Google it, teal.gallery. Maybe it's a website to show you a couple finished product of a Teal app using synthetic data. So these are all fake data. And this is what I like about our open source Teal. So right now, like I said, it's very flexible. Everything is just Shiny module, and we're looking to several other categories that can be beneficial to other department of our team. So because right now, Teal, I know it's being used very heavily in our study trial, but we also want to be used it on other purposes like medical data review and so on. So
Awesome.
maybe this is a long answer to your question, Nor, but it really is a Shiny app. Teal is a product to make you easily make a Shiny app with analysis that you need.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal if you're in the life sciences space. I wanted to also point out that I think Rachel found the link. I think Rachel and Noor also found it. So we hope that this is the right one. insightsengineering.github.io/teal.gallery. Go take a look at that. And yep. Okay, great. Catching up on the chat.
Yeah.
It looks like I have a question here from Abigail, and I don't know which Abigail this is because I think we have 3 Abigails. But Abigail, if you asked a question about being in the Bay Area, if you could make yourself known, maybe Rachel can
I
find
think
you.
Abigail put an asterisk if you want to read it, Libby.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I will read it, no problem. Noor, thank you for your question, by the way. Okay, it says, since you've been in the Bay Area for a while, does being there make a difference for data careers, like either job opportunities or other kind of networking or ambient knowledge you just pick up from being around that community? Do you feel like being in the Bay Area has given you a boost in data?
Boost in data. I think well, I guess let me start with opportunities first then. In the Bay Area, South San Francisco is the biotech area. And so South San Francisco is a little bit, south of San Francisco. There are a couple biotech company here, and in the biotech, I think data is quite crucial. Like I said before, it is the asset for this company. So I guess based from opportunity perspective, being these type of companies are in the Bay Area, I would say yes, it does have more opportunities, especially if you're local. But I know since the pandemic, things could become remote. But I would say yes, being in the Bay Area could increase the opportunities. I think from the data perspective, though, I've seen job posting regardless of on the Bay Area. I think it's more toward what industry that you want to be in. For any, I mean, any categories of companies, they should have data aspect of it. But do you want to work with clinical trial data? Do you want to work with finance data? I think that's what makes the difference. The category of the data that you want to work with. If you want to be in biotech, I think Bay Area does help. I know there's some other states in the East Coast also have a huge
Boston seems to be a very big hub for biotech for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you do any networking on purpose? Or do you feel like you're just suffused with inside of the community there already?
Oh, I do do some connection with, for example, there are some conferences that local in South San Francisco, so I try to attend that. And of
Do you have any
course,
recommendations for conferences that we can find and put the links to in the chat?
it's called BBWS. I think it's Bay Area Biostat something. I forgot the full name. It's BBSW. I mean, Fuses also has been a great partnership with us as well. And in case you missed it, or if you're local, there is a few single day event tomorrow that was being hosted in Genentech. So Maybe the registration's still open. You can check it out. But this is if I see something local, I usually try to make time because it's kind of hard to travel outside of the state or country these days.
I put the link to BBSW, and I know Ning Ling from Roche also runs that event.
Yes,
And
yes, yeah.
we have been chatting about it. Ning was on the Data Science Hangout before, but Sarah Altman from Posit is also going to give a talk at that event this year.
Oh, that's
Yep.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
think the last I heard was the last I heard for the past couple meeting has maybe more technical topic has comes in, so that was makes the community more interesting. I think there are heavy biostat topic. So if you like a mathematician or stats, I think this is great for you. But what I heard is even more data science technology getting into the community as well. So that's something to look out for. Should be very interesting.
That's wonderful. I know this is all Bay Area specific, but there are other things I think through Fuse that happen online and are more accessible to a broader audience. Have a look, see what you can find. I know that we will probably share some links here to any Fuse stuff that we're aware of, maybe in the next couple of minutes. Thank you, Abigail, for that question. It was wonderful. I wanted to call in Gregory really quickly because Gregory asked a question about like what kind of SAS are you talking about? And it's such a good reminder that when we say SAS can mean so many different things.
And I have worked with all of them.
Yeah. So I know what SAS Donnie was talking about, but Donnie, do you want to explain just real quick about your SAS past?
This is statistical analysis software. This is the company that makes a software. It's called SAS for short, and then it's proprietary language. You may heard if somebody said, "Yeah, I run a proc step, I do like the data step, and I make a SAS macro." So SAS macro equal to our function. So that's the SAS that I was talking about.
Okay, great. Yeah, our sentence says proc data step. If you are manipulating data in SAS, you are proc dataing. Thank you, Gregory, for asking that question and reminding me that sometimes we need to explain our acronyms. All right, so I have another question here. I had so many that were about reproducibility and about Shiny and stuff. But I wanted to call in Mike K. Smith because he had asked about technical interviews, and I really want to pick up on this.
Libby, in her introduction, had mentioned that you're in charge of looking after technical interviews, and as someone at Pfizer who's trying or occasionally has to do the same, I kind of have antibodies to the prove it kind of technical interview. And I'm much more interested in how do you think around problems? How, can you demonstrate that you can think around a scenario? I'm just interested how you view that.
Yes, so we do ask this kind of questions too. I'm not worried. I mean, these candidates that comes in, they're smart individuals. I'm not worried of them. If they don't know R6, for example, they don't know S4, for example, I'm not worried. They will learn this quickly. So definitely not worried from that perspective. But that's what you just said is something that we're trying to conduct as well. There is a couple steps that I usually do. I do want to know. I'm more concerned about their base art techniques. If they're and then it increases. If this is a problem, how would you do it? Have you done Shiny module programming? Do you understand, certain techniques in Shiny that we're doing? So yeah, not specific about like the syntax has to be correct. It is. But it's more toward just talking about it. I actually review the code together. So what I did was I just make a quarter website and just for myself, and I'll just present some examples, and then we just talk about it. Sometimes we give hints. We don't grade them from accuracy. It's more about communication and train of thought.
Wonderful. I think that's a great a great objective. I really agree with Mike that I don't like the prove it ones either, where I'm like, prove that I can think. I learn anything, prove that I can think. Fantastic question, Mike. Appreciate you as always. There was an anonymous question, which was fabulous. Let me highlight it here. And I noticed that it also has a few replies on it. So there are some people in the Hangout who are giving you fantastic replies already. The question is, do you have any tips for a SAS programmer that wants to or is being told to use R?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is if you are, you have to embrace it. I think you have to acknowledge that it is a different language. As a SAS programmer, like I said, I used to be a SAS programmer. I think having this understanding about functional programming, about the syntax around it, it's very important. I think you just have to learn and train yourself. I remember that at the beginning of my career switching to R, I just practice a lot. And the easiest way to practice is the data step stuff, cleaning stuff up and making the data ready. That's to me was an easy entry point. So if you ask me what is my favorite R package, it has to be dplyr because that was my first and big first package that I used a long time ago, and I still know how to do it, even though I do with more of shiny stuff now. But then you will level up. I think after dplyr you learn about, okay, then how do I do this in base? Because now if you're making R package, you want to make sure, okay, is it really makes sense to bring the whole dplyr in, or can I get this away with some base stuff? And you slowly will get increased. So practice a lot. Pick some use case. I mean, as much as I want to advise taking some online training, having a hands-on project, the one that really makes a difference. So make a small project for yourself, create something out of it, enhance it, level it up. You make the data great. Now, can you do a Shiny app? Can you level that up? Can you show a different way? If you don't want to do Shiny, that's fine. Can you do ggplot too? Can you make a static plot out of this? Just keep on increasing that level of learning, because then you'll get familiar with the different how SAS do the syntax versus how R do the syntax. The plus point is if you know how to do R and you know kind of familiar the way it is, then if you want to switch to another language like Python, for example, or Rust, you kind of see the similarities. SAS is just a different, I felt in my, personally, it's just, like I said, it's a proprietary language. Great software. I think they have a great way of warning messages, error messages, where R sometimes can be very ambiguous. You just have to understand it and Google it. Now, I'm glad we have AI now that we can ask AI what this error means, and I do that a lot as well. So hopefully that helps. I think the most key
Yeah.
is to pick a project, work on it, level it up, and just be familiar. Then you get familiar.
Awesome. Yep. I feel like I recommend the same thing. I learned SAS and R at the same time and had to sort of evolve using both of them at the same time. I really recommend to try to not do one-to-one translations. Don't be like, I'm going to translate this SAS proc data step one-to-one into R. That you will be frustrated every single time. You will say, why can't I do the exact same thing? Why can't I have the same output? And it will lead you down a path of frustration, and it will really narrow your sort of scope of possibility in using R. Translate what you want to do into plain language. I want to take this data, I want to filter it to this, I want to do these calculations on it, and I want to see these numbers in my output in some format. And then learn how to do that in R. And I really loved that Donnie mentioned base as well, because like dplyr is fantastic, but if you want to minimize your dependencies and you do want to build tools, learning base is so valuable. I learned base before I learned dplyr, years before I learned dplyr. And I'm still a big base R proponent. I will also say Gregory Power mentioned as an answer to this in Slido, come hang out with us on the Data Science Hangout. Be around other people who are kind of using the tools that you want to learn. They're doing cool things. They're sharing cool links. I love that answer, Gregory. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to mark this as answered, but I also wanted to sort of shout out Kyle Hurley because you posted in the chat that you were converting a modeling tool, Sparrow, that's written in SAS over to R Sparrow. I think that's really cool. If you happen to want to unmute and talk a little bit about that at some point, let us know. That way Rachel can unmute you. I'd love to hear about it. But Ted also has an article about this. Ted, I hope you shared a link. Can anybody tell me if Ted shared a link? I hope so.
Kyle unmuted too.
Kyle, can you chat just briefly about the conversion process? Oh, Kyle, we can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe later.
Oh, well, thanks, Kyle. Let us know in the chat if you have more info. All right, let's head over to Slido and grab another question. I saw one that Nick Drew had asked. Nick, if you are available to ask your question. I had this similar question because I don't work in Donnie's industry at all with Donnie's data types.
Hi, Libby. This is Nick.
Hey.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward question. I too have never worked in that industry. So I mean, I haven't done my homework either. So, I mean, my first question before the one I wrote there was, where do you get your data? Where does it come from? I'm guessing from randomized controlled trials, but once you get the data, what are some of the data quality challenges that you find, and what are some potential remedies for that? Thank you.
Sure. So, yes, you answered your own question for the question one. It does come from some study trial that run by a CRO. So we provide the molecule.
What's a CRO?
Clinical Research Organization.
Okay, thanks.
These are companies that help us conduct the trial. At this stage, it'll be human trial. Then it varies between different phases. So we got the data from the vendor that we use to collect the data. So the CRO, the one that finds the hospitals and run the trials, and the data comes into some software. So we get it from them. And you're right, it comes in many variation. It kind of depends on the requirement as well. So sometimes throughout the trial, they may want to see more biomarker or may want to get more data points, which means we have to alter the software so that we can get that data points. So the data could be dirty, and this is the perfect. I mean, yes, these are the type that I would say clean at this point, and it could be very some that could be very trivial. It's just about converting some characters into something else if it's from a different language, like if it's in Germany, you have like an umlaut or stuff like that we usually depending on which one that we want to keep, which one that we don't want to keep, this non-ASCII characters. So yeah, so from there we try to clean it up. We try to make it ready for the next step, which is then we come to a specific data model. And in clinical trial, we use the data model called CDISC. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but I forgot what does this stand for exactly. I said it so many times.
Somebody will find it in the chat and tell us.
And CDISC provide this guidance on how to build a data model from our raw data all the way to the data model that we can use for submission. So what submission means is that we give the data to FDA and they can analyze it. If they think the trial is successful, then they give their approval.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much for the great question, Nick. And next I wanted to call in Cecilia, my favorite shrew scientist and scrolly telling blog post creator. Cecilia, if you are available to ask your question that was about how reproducibility is defined, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for your time today. I think I also am not, like, I'm in academia, so I think I have an idea of what reproducibility means for me, but I'm not sure it necessarily is the same of what it means in the industry, and mostly like in pharma, where reproducibility is mandatory. Like you have to be able to know what the data, where it comes from, and how to reproduce it. So I think my question was more general, like, does it mean like have code, clean code and pipelines that are repeatables, but also like making sure the analysis can be independently validated? What does reproducibility mean for you?
Oh, okay, maybe not validated. So the code reproducibility the context here is that when using a tool, and you see after you add a filter. Let's say you add a filter to get some visualization. You subset some data. You adding some encoding. By encoding, I means the parameter tuning to show the aesthetic of the visualization. This custom modification that you've done for your visualization while using the app. So the reproducibility means is that we have a way in Teal that if you click this button, it will show you the code to reproduce what you see in Teal, but in your local environment. So if you take this code and you run it into your own R session, considering that you have installed all the dependencies needed, you will get the same result. So that's what the context that it means here. So is it validated? I don't think so, unless you run that code into your validation pipeline. So these are when I say validation pipeline, usually this means in an environment that is very strict. Usually they control what's in the environment, right? Either approved packages or things that have been sanctified by the validation team. And that means that everything that they put into this environment has some validation documentation. So that's what I meant by code reproducibility.
Fantastic. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? We have a very lovely conversation in the chat about base R, because I said I'm gonna die on my base R and base plotting hill.
On the topic of reproducibility, it looks like Javier had a follow-up question too.
Ooh, fantastic. Javier, do you want to unmute and ask?
Hi. Thanks, Donnie. This has been really interesting. And blurred across. There we go. All right. So I just learned about Teal today. I'm looking through the documentation. I think I have a better understanding of it too. I did ask ChatGPT my question and I didn't get a good answer, which is, so where I struggle with reproducibility of Shiny apps at work often is when an ad hoc dashboard directly published to Posit Connect, which is an amazing feature, suddenly becomes more than just an ad hoc prototype. It stays a little bit too long. People start using it a bit too often. And then the question is like, hey, can you just reproduce this or update it? I'm like, no, I have no clue what this code looks like. I haven't seen the code. It's not tied to a Git repository. So when I think about at least reproducibility at my work for things like Shiny apps, usually my number one source of truth is the Git repo. And someone commented on my question about using renv or something like that. I also use renv, and like I love that kind of solution for managing project package dependencies. But like, what does Teal offer that the code base does not, if you have access to that code base?
Okay, I think I understand a little bit of the word reproducibility, and maybe have a different context here from like development, software engineering development, like the repo stuff and the visualization that I was talking about. And I think you're talking more about the reproducibility of the software as
Oh,
you manage your
I see.
repo.
Okay, so Teal is more for the visualizations or
Correct.
okay. That
Yeah.
helps.
So the reproducibility term that I used in Teal, it meant to regenerate the visualization that you see in Teal, not about the repo that I built app.r on. But you are correct. We also want to make sure our product is reproducibility. So I can't just say that, yeah, it works on my machine. I don't know why it doesn't work on yours. So yeah, we use this kind of stuff like the RM and in the back end, we also use POSIT grade products. We use their POSIT Connect, POSIT Workbench, and where we have different snapshot, right, just to make sure that we are pulling from the same repository date. So for our work, we always encourage to use some form of snapshot date, so that then you're sure that using specific version of Teal, for example. I'm not sure if I answered your question correctly, but let me know if you have any follow-up question now that you're hearing the difference between the term reproducibly, what I meant, versus
Yeah, no, okay, this helps. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Javier. I love the follow-up and clarification questions because we all come from so many different industries where we're doing totally different things. Like Javier is in an insurance space and a healthcare space, working on totally different things. Javier is always working on amazing projects with R and Databricks. He knows so much more about Databricks than I could ever possibly imagine. But that's the cool thing about the Data Science Hangout. We're all from different areas. So there was an anonymous question that popped up just recently, and I really liked it. And I think it's pretty quick to answer. So it says at the start, there was some discussion around jobs that focus more on that data cleaning side, standardization, QAQC. What sort of job titles are those roles? Like, are those not data analyst, data scientist, data engineer? Or are they something more specific?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I would say the biggest one, when I was talking about harmonizing data, the title of that job was data curator. That was the title. And really all I did was cleaning data, prepping data, harmonizing, QC and validation. This is a really important topic because really, I mean, if the data is not ready for analysis, then there's no point spending a lot of time in how fancy your analysis would be. It will be, trash in and trash out. So it itself is created. I think I made 2 R packages for this. One for making sure the team harmonize on how we impute some data steps, and automating QC. And this itself has become very useful in our pipeline. QC can mean so many things, and it's such an interesting topic just to use R and see how far we can extend this utility to our use case. But yeah, so for me, the title was data curator, but I also see sometimes data analyst could be that title as well. But I understand this question because there is a title bubble at some point, and it just become data scientist. Everybody is just data scientist, and but really, I think the key thing is just to look into the description of the job. I think if it's more toward closer to clinical trials, for me, if it's closer more to study trials, usually, hopefully, that means I work closely to the data. So if it after, then maybe more about analysis, modeling, making products.
Okay, great. And then there was a follow-up question that Gitika asked in the chat. I saw that's probably good to say, and it's what exactly do you mean by harmonizing data? I had the same question when I was talking with Donnie. He mentioned putting data together from over a large time span. Is that what we're talking about?
That's correct. So if you recall, I said earlier about CDIS data model, right? I'm just going to use this as an example. So this data model, something that we are following in order to prep our data, they have a different publication every couple months, if not every couple weeks, right? There's always new publication comes in telling us what is because data changes, technology changes, so there's always new guidance on how to do these changes. Sometimes there's a new stuff. Sometimes it's just an improvement of an old way to do it. Now we have a better way to do it. So imagine you have a data that spent 20 years. Just imagine that. And then depending when the data comes out and when the data got modeled into specific guidance, it will differ in this 20 years, right? Then you may end up having a data that has using five different guidance. Now, it's hard to combine. It's hard to just stack data when they have 5 different models. You can't. Sometimes even the variable names is not the same. So then that's what I meant by harmonizing. What we need to do in this process is to come up with some kind of an agreement of how do we harmonize this, which guide that we're going to follow in order to fit all the data into the same model so that we can easily stack them together and make them easy to be analyzed. Does that help?
I think that definitely helps because I had the same question. Gitika had asked that in the chat, and I'm sure that they can tell us in the chat if that helps as well. Okay, I wanted to hop in really quickly and answer a question that I saw speed by me in the chat, which was, if I'm attending PositConf in person, is there a way to get into the virtual as well for free? Yeah, you register whatever you register for. You have access to both virtual and in person. If you register for the virtual only, then you only have access to the virtual stuff, not the in-person ticket where you show up. So yeah, go register. If you can't attend in person, register virtually. But if you do attend in person, you also have access to all the virtual stuff. That means you can take some time off and go watch talks from your hotel room. Excellent. Also, there will be more virtual activities this year, and you're definitely going to want to be able to be a part of them. Gitika says, yes, that was helpful. Thank you. All right, let's head back over to Slido. We have about 11 minutes left here. And I saw a great one that I would love to propose to everybody in the chat, as well as Donnie. It's an anonymous question, and it says, how do you prioritize and choose what projects you work on? How do you collaborate with your teammates? And Donnie has teammates all over the world, I think.
Yes. So for me, it always comes back to our stakeholders. So we do have a target stakeholders that we want to we always reach out and listen to, because I make the product, but the product is being used at this study trials. So if it's not working, if something needs improvement, then I need to know, and this is our priority. So from there, we bring it to the team, and we use agile methodology. So we have to define definition of done. After we define this, then we just start working on it. So this is how we prioritize. It always comes back to the stakeholder. Our increment usually run 8 weeks, so we need to deliver something in 8 weeks. And every 2 weeks is our sprint, where we always look back again in our board. We use GitHub actually. GitHub has been really helpful for us to plan, estimate how much work, to see where we are, and to kind of estimate whether or not we'll reach the goal. So I guess the short answer is we prioritize by listening to our stakeholders.
Yep. I will +1 the listening. And if you are a data person who is in the back doing data things, and you have end users to any of your products, go reach out to them in your organization and make friends with them, ask to shadow them, ask how they use their tools, what their pain points are, like really getting to know what people need out of the things that you're building can help them clarify everything in data science. All right, fantastic question. Thank you, anonymous asker. That was a great one. We have about 8 minutes left, and let me see if I can read through questions really quickly. Everybody asks such fantastic questions on Slido. Thank you. Zach asked a question that I really like. Let me read it here. It has an asterisk. I will read it for Zach. I see that a lot of people are doing personal data science and coding practice. How do you think people can stand out from the crowd? I'm guessing that this is with like applications. Do you think it's more ideal to treat these projects as a learning exercise, or something that you should put on your resume?
I would say both. I
Do
mean,
you look at projects and stuff when you look at applications?
yes, I do. I do actually. I usually ask people like, what is their either recent project or their most proud project that they work on. Because again, it could be small, it could be big. What I do is that if I have a project, like my side project, I just want to do this one thing. And yes, it's a good learning experience, right? So I think I recall I have a package that I made where I want to streamline um, my working when I have a lot of different dependencies. So if you work in a product that has a lot of dependencies, then sometimes things can become quite hard to switch different branches, different feature branches, and so on. So I make a package in there. But then I thought it was a good product, so I just push it into GitHub and see if anybody else interested. And then yeah, and then that would be a good adding to your resume because now is in there. And if you want to take it to the next level, push it to CRAN, and then it can really become public. But I would say both. If you can use it for learning, but then as you use it for learning, hopefully the ideas will come in. All right, this looks like an interesting techniques to do this certain problem that may be closer to your field. And if you see that opportunity, pursue it. Just try it. Make something. That's the great thing about R2. There's a lot of documentation about how to make R package. If you're not into R package, you're more like a web guy, deploy Shiny App. ShinyApps.io, I think Posit also, you guys are the owner, right? ShinyApps.io, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's free. It's free for like I think they have a free tier, and then if it's become bigger and you want to scale it, then maybe I think there's some fees, but for the starter, it's free, and I do this too. I just deploy stuff to Shiny Apps that
Yeah.
so
And oh, I will say the evolution of shinyapps.io, Posit Connect Cloud, which
there
is
you go.
even easier. I mean, like I have a Shiny app deployed to Posit Connect Cloud because I too have personal projects. And you really just like hook it up to a repo. You tell it which .r file is your app or which Shiny file is your app. You create a manifest and you're done. And then every time you push to your repo as an update, it immediately updates your live Shiny app. Could not be easier. Chef's kiss. Would recommend. Yeah, either that or shinyapps.io. All right. That was an amazing question. Thank you, Zach. I wanted to call Rachel in. We're 5 minutes to the end. Rachel never gets to ask questions anymore. And she has a good one.
Sure. I was going to ask you a career question because we always ask about career advice, but I was thinking of maybe pointing it a certain way because Donnie, I've seen you're such a big part of the community and you've given a bunch of different workshops, and I was wondering if that comes natural to you. Or did you have to convince your leadership to be able to let you share what you're doing with others in the community too? I just wanted to hear a little bit about that process for you.
Um, yes, I mean, I think with this product, fortunately for me, there is a support from leadership for me to be able to do this. So there's definitely that aspect of it. Because we are trying to, I mean, you probably, if you don't know, we have some pilots, actually no longer a pilot. We do have a successful R submission already with the FDA. But we also want to explore what Shiny would mean in the FDA context. So, and Teal could be that one of that gateway. So that's why I'm getting the support to see if anybody else can see this could be a potential solution that we can all agree on and all can be on the same principle. So because what all FDA cares is that it has to be something that agree upon the industry. So FDA really doesn't whether it's SAS or whatever it's R, it really up to the industry to decide what is it that they want to, what they can see. So yeah, so fortunately for me, it does come quite natural because of the support, and I'm very fortunate to be in here. I met so many incredible people, and the project really does open up a lot of avenue, just connecting with the different people from different companies. I would encourage for our participant today that if you want to be in this space, look into some open source code out there. I think Pharmaverse is a great one. And these are all data scientists, and usually we are all very friendly compared to. I mean, I know tech could be competitive, but I would say data scientists one of the warmest, kindest people that I've met so far. We always like to help each other, and then sometimes if you go to Fuse, if you go to other open forum, and you see, you're the guy that we always chat on the GitHub so far, and then it's just so nice to be connected in that space. So yeah, check out Farmer first. If you don't know where to start, look at Farmer first. I mean, Teal is not in Farmerverse, but we are part of Farmerverse. So if you look for in Farmerverse, you probably see some Teal there. I put all of my workshop in Farmerverse organization in GitHub. So if you want to check out some of the older workshop, you can. But we have a big announcement soon, so
Ooh.
look out for that because we've been busy this week.
All right, we'll keep our eyes open. That sounds amazing. There were so many wonderful questions that we couldn't get to. There were questions about, career limitations for growth. We had questions about clinical trials. We had questions about the influence of AI in the research space. Everybody asked such amazing things, but we only have this 1 hour with Donnie. So, Donnie, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Livy, and thanks for everybody for your question. I really enjoyed it. I hope you had a great time. I mean, yeah, feel free to connect with me if you want, if you have any questions, and
Awesome.
I can.
Thank you. Go find Donnie on LinkedIn, Dony Unardi. Also, I realized we're talking about announcements, I was trying not to spill the beans because I didn't know if it was out yet, but Isabella has informed me that it is out. So if you are registered for the Posit conference, in person, virtual, doesn't matter, the Discord server is open. Yay! So there's a link there. There's a little button you can go join the Discord server. You better find me, tag me, say hello. I will right now go make a Posit Data Science Hangout channel for us. We can all pile in there and yeah, really get talking. My recommendation to you, make your name your real name. If you have a weird Discord server name, I'm not going to know who you are. Make it your real name so I know who you are, okay? All right, everybody. If you want to save the chat because it's full of amazing resources, go click the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner of the chat. If you are not able to save the chat and that distresses you, fill out the Zoom survey that comes after this. Put your email on it. Rachel and I can help you get the chat. Find us on LinkedIn. Find me on Blue Sky, where I spend most of my time. And we will see you next week where we have Lisa Elkin. She's a senior principal computational toxicologist at Pfizer. Lisa is a delight. Please come hang out with Rachel and me and Lisa. All right. Have fun on the Discord server. I will see you there and I'll see you next week, everybody. Bye. Bye, Donnie.